This video is called something like, not there, it's not that one. It's the Gedye Sons solicitor who is the one who has been targeting, abusing and harassing me on YouTube for 4 years. 4 years. I now have no doubt whatsoever that the nasty, vicious troll who has been targeting, abusing and harassing me on YouTube for 4 years is the very Gedye Sons solicitor, director and owner who invited me to his City of London office and abused me there on the 14th of February 2014. This is contrary to the last video I posted where I said I thought the troll was someone who has been trolling and harassing others, truth speakers, working as an information operations, quote unquote, agent, a member of the British Army's 77th Brigade, claiming to challenge and combat, quote, misinformation contrary to the UK's interests, end quote, when in reality they are combating information, exposing government deception, propaganda and misinformation. I first suspected this particularly nasty, psychologically abusive troll of being the Gedye Sons solicitor director over 3 years ago, when he replied my responses to his comments with hostility, psychological abuse and extreme negativity. His descent into hostility was instant, but I wasn't sure it was him then, and he played games, keeping me guessing. For a long time I thought he was one of the Cumbria constabulary policemen who he and his co-owner, co-director, had arrested me at their main office in Cumbria. Then I went back to thinking he was Richard, the Gedye Sons owner solicitor, until I learnt about the paid government troll who was harassing truth speakers, and having watched some videos about him, connected him in my mind to what I had been receiving on my own YouTube channel. Even before I heard of this man, who went as far as getting a meeting at a London venue that I had been planning to attend cancelled, I had begun to suspect that the one who had been trolling and harassing me for so long was part of a group who deliberately targeted people who spoke out about what they had suffered from government entities like police, solicitors, councils, etc. as part of, quote, information warfare, end quote. When I saw on one of the videos posted about this man that he liked harassing people who challenge or speak out against questionable official government narratives, I became certain it was him. I eventually made a video outing this man as the man who had been plaguing my life for years. I did this after Trustpilot removed my review of the Solicitors Club, the Law Society. I'm sure the Gedye Sons solicitor instigated the Law Society to flag my review twice. However, the troll, TR World 490, the one who had been trolling and harassing me for years, soon commented suggesting he wasn't the man I'd been featuring in my video, which at first I didn't believe. But I later began to wonder. I asked God to help me know once and for all who this person was who had been adding additional stress to my life for over 3 years. Then I realized that my first 3 videos ever posted on YouTube had been the subject of a legal complaint, according to YouTube. I didn't even realize this until many months later, because I didn't use the Gmail account much that the notifications of this were sent to, and I was out of the country also when the complaint was made. By the time I eventually saw the YouTube emails, 2 of the 3 videos had been taken down. But I noticed the complaint had flagged my 3rd video. The complainant had flagged my 3rd video, even though it was very short and was only of the outside of the office building where I was abused, which told me whoever it was didn't even want video of the outside of the building posted on YouTube. So then I made sure I shot significant videos outside the building, going into detail about what happened to me in the building, which I knew the one who tried to have my 3rd video removed wouldn't like. I then began to tell more and more of my story, step by step, video by video. Eventually, TR World 490 began posting hostile comments. I can now see a clear connection of the quote-unquote legal complaint. I can now see a clear connection, the quote legal complaint, the 4 years of hostile comments, abuse, targeting and harassment from TR World 490, the recent removal by Trustpilot of my review of the Law Society, and the removal by Google of all my Google reviews, including my first ever Google review, which was of law firm Gedye Sons. I can see how all these connect. I can see that since he couldn't get my subsequent videos removed, he started posting hostile comments on some of them almost as soon as they were posted. There are also many things said by TR World 490 in his comments that strongly indicate he is a solicitor, a probate solicitor, even the one familiar to me and familiar with me. They show me he is not at all a regular Joe, as he told me he was. A, quote, regular Joe, end quote, would not be posting such unnecessarily hostile and legally significant comments over a period of 4 years, ignoring my many requests that he unsubscribe and desist from harassing me through the comment section of my videos. He has denied he is the solicitor, but I now have absolutely no doubt he is. There are many of his comments that I've gone back to have a look at and seen that clearly they're not written by an ordinary Joe, a regular Joe, that they're very, very likely to be written by a solicitor. And some are directly likely to be written by the solicitor that abused me, because they seem to refer to my case, that this person has knowledge of my case, and more than he would get from, looking at my videos. These are some of the quotes from him that are very suspicious, very much point to him being a solicitor, a probate solicitor, the solicitor that has been making my life hell for so many years, the solicitor that invited me to 15 Old Bailey and made my life hell. I'm just going to have a look at them here. What he said as part of his comment, the last comment he made when he was telling me I got it wrong, pinpointing the someone else as the person that had been trolling me. He said, "What I would advise you to consider is that those individuals who you wrongly identify in this video may have a case against you in libel." And I wrote, "This sounds like a solicitor to me. In fact, you very much remind me of solicitor Richard of Gedye Sons, who twice wrote to me making empty libel threats." And I said to him, "TR World 490, in one of your first detailed comments to me years ago, you wrote, 'Also, you are referring to legal terminology in a context where it is clear you don't know, 1, how it operates, and 2, the obligations owed by legal professionals to an estate and the court.' And I continue to say to him, 'You wrote this over 3 years ago. You also said in the same comment I should, quote, use Occam's razor, end quote. So using Occam's razor, I can easily see that it is much, much more likely that the above statement was posted by the probate solicitor who abused me, Richard of Gedye Sons. It's much more likely than by a regular Joe. I know without doubt who you are. You have definite psychopathic tendencies, completely lacking in empathy. Another comment. TR World 490. You also previously wrote, also, in order for you to substantiate whether something is in fact and law criminal fraud, you'd need a determination from a court saying so. Until you have that, all you've got are your suspicions, deductions, allegations, and inferences. You need strong evidence to establish such a conspiracy, and it's likely that if what you are saying is true, if you had evidence of the same, any journalist, media outlet, or campaigning lawyer would bend over backwards to take your claims forwards. Which is rubbish, of course. I don't agree with that. It's rubbish. And I said, this sounds like the callous psychopath Gedye Sons solicitor Richard to me, and not at all some regular Joe. Even though you continue to try to pose as a regular Joe by starting with, cool story, bro. You've finally been outed once and for all. Another comment I made on the last video he commented on. TR World 490. You previously wrote on another of my videos, there's a reason as to why you were removed as an executor, which you are not telling your viewership. I'm guessing because you weren't acting in the best interest of the estate, were incapable of acting in the best interest of the estate. Either that, or you couldn't act objectively due to some dispute you and or your uncle had with your brother. Time to let it go, mate. You're still flapping your gums about something over 10 years ago. This is where he mentions 10 years. And where did he get 10 years from? Because I hadn't mentioned 10 years anywhere on my channel or my videos. He also there says, I'm guessing. He wasn't guessing. That was this, what I've just said now, it's familiar to me because this is the sort of thing that was told to me by one of his staff who he gave the job as acting as a buffer between me and him, acting as a spokesman on his behalf. This is the same sort of stuff that guy, Nick, his name was, said to me. You know, he told me I had been removed. And he's saying there's a reason I was removed as an executor. He wanted me to believe I had been removed. He wanted me to believe I had been removed. And for a long time, I thought I had been removed. But if I had been removed, it was fraudulent. I later found I hadn't been removed. He can't remove me as an executor if my mum has named me as an executor. He can't remove me without taking me to court. And he would have to have strong reason, strong evidence of my refusal and unwillingness to act as an executor to successfully remove me. I learnt that. And I also learnt that an executor's authority is derived from the will alone, not from the grant of probate. He didn't tell me that, and no other solicitor told me that. I learned that from another victim of these solicitors who fought the solicitors that abused him in court, and he learned a lot of probate law, and it took him years, and he was resisted by the solicitors and even by the courts. You know, it wasn't successful. It wasn't successful. That's how fraudulent these courts and these solicitors are, the profession and the system is. And I finished when I quoted him, I finished by saying, "What you said here is yet another example that strongly indicates that it comes from a solicitor, a probate solicitor, Solicitor Richard, who has remorselessly made my life hell." Another comment I made. TR World 490, also known as Solicitor Richard. You also said here on this video, and I quote, "A police officer calls you Tony in one of your videos wherein you sulk about outside a solicitor's office." And then I said, "The video to which you refer was the third one of my first 3 videos, one which there was a failed attempt to get removed. No wonder you took note of this video and remember it in such detail, that you remember a police using my name. Even I didn't remember it until you reminded me. Because you were the one who originally flagged the video you remember so well for removal, which failed. These point even more to the fact that you are indeed psychopath abuser Solicitor Richard. You used the word sulk to refer to me in that video, which suggests you didn't like the video. The one who tried and failed to get that video removed also didn't like it. Yet another obvious connection between you and the one who tried to get the video you refer to removed, Richard." Looking to see if there's any other direct quotes. Yes, there is. TR World 490. You said in one of my early videos 3 years ago, "There's nothing rational about lurking around a building, ranting about your perceived grievances about the people who work there into a phone." And another quote from one of his comments, you also said, "When you continually turn up to someone's place of work and make them feel harassed, you have to expect that they will inform the police. How would you like it if someone turned up to your place of work to record videos about you concerning something they didn't like?" And then I say, part of my response to the above at the time was, "So filming a video outside 15 Old Bailey where Solicitor Richard abused, threatened, lied to, defrauded me at a meeting he invited me to is irrational. unreasonable and unhinged. Don't be effing stupid. This is called going public, a-hole. And maybe you don't like it because you're one of them. Maybe the main solicitor. As you can see, even at that time when you posted the above, it made me suspect you were Solicitor Richard of Gedye Sons, which I now realise you absolutely are him. You clearly believe in your shockingly and arrogantly entitled way that you can invite me to meet you where you work in London, even though I never instructed you, so I'm not your client, then immediately threaten me on shaking hands with me and proceed to pressure me, manipulate me, lie to me, compromise me, take appalling advantage of me, carry out a dishonest fraud on me, even pressure and manipulate me into signing a statement you quickly typed out during the meeting, which was extremely dishonest, manipulative and fraudulent, and which even contradicted the very things you assured me of and presented to me in your meeting, in order to try and make sure that I agreed never to act as an executor of my own late mother's will, as I was fully entitled to, according to her will, and proceed to make my life a living hell as a result, and never have to meet me again, and yet you expect me never to return again to the building you invited me to, your place of work. You think you have the right to have no consequences. Let's see. Where am I? Just see. You think you have the right to have no consequences resulting from what you deliberately and with premeditation chose to do. You don't in any way, come on, concentrate. You don't in any way have that right. You also did many things to me resulting from that meeting to disempower me and frustrate me. You told me I was no longer an executor as a result of that meeting, which is a massive lie. You even told me I had no rights to estate information as a result of that meeting, which is the complete opposite of what you promised me in that meeting. You even told me I did not even have the right to see the very attendance notes of the meeting you invited me to and abused me at. You deliberately caused me great frustration, distress, anxiety and anger. Through one of your staff, Nick, you later also told me you and or he would meet with my uncle, one of the executors, but not me, the one you seriously abused. After you met me at that meeting as an executor of my mother's will, you have never wished to meet me again after what you have done to me, and you have indeed never met me again. I've never seen you again since you met me and abused me. But I've felt your impact ever since then, that one-time meeting. This is why you have not liked hearing of me returning to the scene of the crime, your office, or seeing and hearing me make videos outside the office building you invited me to, where you so abused me. Your above comments criticizing me for lurking round the building, ranting about your perceived grievances about the people who work there into a phone, and continually turning up to someone's place of work and make them feel harassed, are more comments which help me identify you as the solicitor who invited me to your place of work. But having done so, never wanted me to return there, even to video outside the building, to draw attention to what you did to me in there. Are there any more? I think that's enough. But you can see that all those comments, I could see, rereading them, realizing this is definitely the solicitor, which I suspected from the beginning. Going back to them and rereading these comments, it's absolutely sure that it's him. It's a solicitor that's making those comments. It's a solicitor that's making those comments. Also a probate solicitor. Even someone that's familiar with me, even someone that's familiar with my case. And he's been claiming to be a regular Joe that just finds my videos hilarious, you know, my victim complex videos hilarious. My inane videos, which inane, that means of no real importance. I'm just seeing if there's any more direct. I think that's enough. So this is my video. Finally, once and for all, he can't say anything to make me doubt this. That it's absolutely the guy that has been trolling me and adding insult to industry, insult to injury, is absolutely the very solicitor that has been making my life hell all along for years and years.